Okay, live. Take two. Quantum panel. I'm going to try to get this right. I figured out what I did. Okay, I figured out what I did. I am full of the noob mistakes today. This is what happens when I get tired. Okay, for sure. This is what happens when I get tired. I screw up the basics. I actually had my YouTube show playing in the background at the same time. I'm tired. That's why. Yep. Yep, that's exactly what it was. Okay, I'm going to just go on to Facebook and Twitter and pass the new link out. So I'm back. Panel discussion, if we can get it to make it work, right? All right. Whatever. No thumbnail. What? Oh, that's right. I forgot to do the. I didn't do the thumbnail. See what happens. See what happens. I don't even care. On we go. I don't even care. On we go. Okay. I didn't do the thumbnail or nothing. I got my standard placeholder up there. That's fine. Whatever. This is what happens when I get tired and it's hot in here. And I'm drinking probably too much coffee. Yikes. Okay. So Keith is on the way. Lynn is on the way. Until then, it's just me. I will edit the show later to put the thumbnail up like I have it. And okay. Hey Lynn, that was totally on me. I had YouTube in another tab.
That's what Frank told me to tell you. So he'll do this stuff, and then gotta have a smoke, Of course,
Yep.
he doesn't smoke inside, and so now I'm like, where are you?
Okay. Well, we're good now. That was totally on me because it was like I was listening to myself with second. See, 7 seconds is the time it takes to go to the YouTube server and back, and that
Yeah,
it rung a bell. But I am just tired.
yeah,
That's what happens when I'm tired. I
yeah.
mean, this is the
Well,
equivalent of losing my 10 millimeter when I'm working on something tired.
yeah. I just
So,
had that damn thing. Where is it?
right, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go on with everything. Keith is on his
Okay.
way.
Okay.
All right. Um, and we got Keith. Welcome back, Keith. Thanks for coming on.
Not a problem.
Okay. Um,
How you
you
doing
had
tonight, Keith?
At this point, tired. Other than that, not bad.
yeah, me
I
too. You know
appreciate
what I
that.
did? Guess what I did? Guess what I did? I had my thing playing live, and I was like, "Why am I hearing an echo? I'm hearing myself talk." And it was me.
I've done that before.
Mm.
Yeah, I think we've all been through that, all that.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's a learning curve to this. This doesn't just happen.
no, and it's a stumble, man. I didn't even put up a thumbnail. The thumbnail is supposed to be. Let me just show you the thumbnail, right? I'll just show you the thumbnail. It's the same as the first thing, except done in a
Yeah.
certain way.
Well, it just showed up a quantum show
Yeah,
panel.
with
Yeah.
yeah. This is the supposed to be the thumbnail, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I use Paint. I don't use anything fancy. I don't use Canva. I don't do anything. No Photoshop. This is Paint. I use Paint. See,
Right.
this was it. This is. I keep it basic. I'll let other people deal with the fancy stuff.
Well,
But
that's my way of looking at it.
yeah, I don't want to deal with it.
Don't
Um,
blame me. I won't deal with it either.
yeah, I have a whistleblower on the line. Not now, but I've got a whistleblower that is extremely curious about what I know, so he can. He's not. Unfortunately, he's not a ufology whistleblower. He's a government whistleblower, and still just as interesting. Right up my alley here, right up our alley. But he has done CE5, so he has really less contact than any of us. I've had more contact than him, like direct.
What is
Um,
CE5?
Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind.
That's self-related.
Okay.
It's
You know,
it's group
with-
meditation,
I
right?
I get it. No, I understand it. I
Okay.
just, it's I'm not good at uh sounds like synonyms.
Oh, okay.
Synonyms?
Yeah,
That's the word for sound like, yeah.
Acronyms.
acronyms. Yeah,
Yeah. There we go.
Oh. I'm sure you are. You know what that means.
Storm says dealing with all that crap is my job. Yes, it is.
Well, I mean, let's face it. You know what snafu and foobar and focus mean.
I know what foobar means.
snafu. I know that one.
Oh yeah. I mean, gee, cut her teeth on that one.
Yeah, focus was one I came across about a decade back.
Yeah.
And no, we really can't say it on air. I can tell you two off air, but I sure as heck can't tell you on air.
I think one of
And
the words you can use is frack.
Yeah, yeah. And then there's a new one. It's FAFO.
Oh, I know that one. Frack around and find out. Yeah.
Yeah. I like that one.
But okay. There's been a lot. Lou Elizondo went on Mayim Bialik. She's a TV star, and she's also a microbiologist, right?
Right,
She was
right.
on Big Bang Theory, and it
Yes.
was the star of. She was the star of Blossom. She was Blossom on,
Okay.
and her co-host is into this topic, and Diane Boss, shout out. She showed me this interview, and I went and watched it, and he is really laying it on thick because if he knows anything, he's not telling. He put it in the book. He's saying that everything is government approved. Well, that's not whistleblowing. That is public relations.
Yeah.
That's let them know, be our spokesperson. And it seems like okay, Keith, I'm pretty sure you haven't been following mainstream ufology, which, by the way, I never thought I'd be
Yeah,
saying
that could be
the
a little
word
more accurate, but I don't know how you pull it off.
right. More. Mainstream ufology is. It does. I never thought it would be a thing, right? Ever. But here we are, and I call it Good Morning America ufology because that's where they're trying to put all these people.
I had another word for it.
Go ahead.
No.
I
Okay. Okay.
thought that might be the word.
Right.
I guess bullshit. Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
But it is like when they're talking about disclosure, God, this is like another muggle show. I didn't mean for it to be. When they're talking about disclosure, they're talking about government disclosure. Here's what we all got. Now, let's say it's day 0 of disclosure. They've gone on. Congress has gone on. Whoever the frickin' president ends up being gone on. They said, we got aliens. Like Dave says, we got aliens. Now what? Now what do we do?
Well,
right?
It sounds like I got bugs.
Right. We don't, now what do we got? Now what do we do? Keith, you were about to say something. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just looking at a comment DJ just made. You know, he goes mainstream ufology for those who didn't get the X-Files. The
Right.
reality is the X-Files got a lot of it right.
Yeah, first season was straight out of the FBI playbook. I mean,
Excuse me.
logs, case files. It was case files.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, they actually did a great deal of research before they did those shows.
Yeah, there was one guy, he worked in the FBI and he was passing them his case files and they were changing names and and dates and things.
Yeah, just like Dragnet changed the names and the places to protect the innocent.
Right. They were
Or the
doing that,
guilty.
but they were right, but they were real cases first season. And then the
Yeah,
FBI actually started watching. I can't remember that guy's name. The FBI started watching the show and they went to him and says, "Hey, these seem awfully familiar. You're being investigated." And they found out that he was actually passing them case files.
So what became of him? Did he lose his job? What?
Nope, he retired. He retired.
Oh, you
He
can
followed orders.
retire or else.
I'm not really
yeah.
sure.
Also known as the fourth retirement.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened with him because I don't have his stuff in front of me right now. But he's been on Dave's show. He's been on Spaced Out Radio, and he's been on Amy's show. I think Amy's covered him. I know he's been on a bunch of shows. I don't know if he's been on there, but oh, I would like to plug once again. Good Morning UFO, UFO Twitter. Her documentary is great. It's a muggle thing, all right? But the documentary is good. It talks about all the people who have been like coming forward, talking about what they know, all the research, and um I say it's recommended reading. Not quite required reading, but she wraps it up nicely in a package that you can easily, look at instead of going to all these different shows. She packs it up nicely to where you can look at it. It's on screen, UFO Twitter.
Yeah.
That's it. Robot Jim link is in the description. Okay. You're looking for Alien Girl 111. And if you just go to Twitter and go put that hashtag in there, it will come up. Everything about it will come up. So there you go. It's called hashtag UFO Twitter. That's the name of the documentary. So that's a shout out. And yeah, that's Stephen Doty, Bassett, and Bob Lazar, Grush, everybody, right? Everybody. A bunch of YouTubers are on it. Yeah, and I even made the credits. I made the credits. I don't know why, but I made the credits. And I wasn't featured in it, but I made the credits. So shout out Alien Girl 111. The
That was good of her.
And Good Morning UFO.
Oh, thanks,
There
DJ.
you go. There you go. Feel free to go and look at that during my show because, to be honest, hers is a lot more interesting than what I've got. She's organized. No, for real. Don't go. It's been out for a little while now. It's been out for a couple months, and it did really good. You know what? It's up there with. It's been up there with the Cousins Brothers stuff. It's up there with it. Okay. You know what? Here's what I'm going to do. How do I do that? I can't figure that out. Whatever. Okay. It'll stay on screen. So, yeah, there's a documentary, and there it is again, right?
And Alien Girl, she posts her stuff, she leaves it up.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like you won't get to see it.
Right. And she has pretty much open sourced it to where if you want to use it in your videos, use it. I would be doing those, but my connection is no good for that kind of thing. I can't multi-stream, so I just don't do it. But it's there. Okay. Feel free to go watch that. Please do go watch that. Shout out to Good Morning UFO. That's the current show. So anyway, yeah, it seems like there's a narrative. There's still a narrative And now that it's day 0, let's just suppose it's day 0. Disclosure has happened. Now what?
Maybe that's the whole point.
What do you mean?
What do we do if we do disclose it? What will happen from there?
Well, what
if
could
people
happen?
if people take it to heart, we have a massive problem on our hand. You think about it. All of society for the last several thousand years has been built on the premise, and billions of people still buy into it, has been built on the premise that we're on our own. If that all of a sudden gets turned upside down, what does the state of the general population look like?
Okay. That's a good question.
Well,
I don't think a lot of people are going to even believe it because a lot of people didn't believe in the moon landing when it happened.
true.
They had their reasons, but we know what happened. By the way, the moon landing did happen.
Yeah.
I have my ideas behind it, but the moon landing did happen.
Tim brings up a very good point here. Can I sue the Greys now? How much integration will aliens receive within our government and our system of law and some of the rest of it if they do disclose?
Well, that all of a sudden is where you end up with a major problem. Okay? Because suing an alien is going to be a problem unless they are a member of your society, as in a registered member.
They can't. They're not inside. They're outside of jurisdiction of any kind of lawsuit.
See, and that's what I'm thinking. They're outside our laws. So what
No,
kind of chaos will that happen?
The
Well, number one,
government.
they're not outside our laws.
Yeah.
Okay. I know what you're saying, Keith. Go ahead.
If you buy into any of it, you sort of have to look at it and go, okay, either they're here and they have a governing body themselves they're dealing with, or they're here and they don't. That's the first thing you got to decide, because if you go with the idea they've got a governing body of their own, then that governing body has already said they can't. They cannot do a number of things, but they have to. They've got their own legal system they have to deal with. But suing a organism that does not have a monetary system might be a problem.
All right.
So Tim says, right, alien insurance.
Yeah.
Oh boy, here we go. And this is what I was referring to.
Oh, that's another thing.
What kind of insanity will people come up with?
Right. Robot Jim is saying, in all fairness, I have not read this yet. How are you going to serve the Greys papers? I don't think the sheriff's department has the budget to send a guy in a ship. Right. I don't see that happening either.
No, we're laughing about it, but I'm very serious about these questions because they have to be serious about them. What kind of nutty situation will come about due to disclosure? We're not talking about panic or any of the rest of that. Simple, how does it integrate into our society?
Yeah, how do we get on with it? What are we getting on with, right?
Yeah.
Well, we already know through government actions, obvious, clear ones, we're not going to get anything for at least 50 years. The technology,
easily, not
the technology,
that much.
Right?
Yeah.
Because we would misuse it. People would misuse it. This was covered in the Orville, right? They said they went and gave them what is essentially replicator technology, energy to matter, matter to energy. And what they were doing was first their elites got it. Their super rich got it because it was expensive. Makes sense, first of all. But then the super rich started like renting and leasing and and repossessing these things, and they created it. Basically went to slavery. This is in Orville, right? This is
Right.
the supposition that the writers came up for in that TV show. Said they gave them the high tech, and they basically created a slave society because they were not ready for it. Uh,
Right.
a,
Right.
a, a
Well,
ruling class and everybody else.
okay. Well, just going on what Tim had said, you know, okay. So one of the biggest scams of the last century was cancer insurance. It's still a scam. Social insurance for years absolutely refused to sell cancer policies, but they're an easy buck and
Yeah.
they pay for nearly nothing. Now, let's just suppose, this could be the scam of the century. It truly could.
Oh, it's the scam of the millennia
Oh, yeah. I mean,
because
I'm not
all
talking about them being real, not being real, because I know they're real.
yeah,
But I'm talking about human beings have an innate desire to have the biggest, the best, and the brightest. Okay. So here we are, alien insurance. I can't sue the alien, so I'll sue the insurance because that's how our legal systems work at this point. At least the United
right.
States does.
I have a feeling that's one of the reasons we're not in the Federation yet. Because we can't get our
No,
stuff together.
it's got more to do with the fact that people on the humans have this brilliant idea your color of skin makes you a different species.
Right.
Yeah,
And then, well, it starts with that.
yeah,
That's what, you know what? It seems like, okay, earlier I talked, my last little story was about that girl at the front desk at the hospital, right?
right.
And I
Yeah,
talked,
that was a clear case of PTSD.
right.
Yeah,
She may not have even known for certain that she went through it.
yeah,
I agree. I think I was pinging on some hidden memories, and that's why she freaked out like she did.
yeah.
And
Yep.
So,
I
well,
mean,
you
hmm?
don't fake. It's like I said in the last show. You don't fake sweats. You can't
No, you
fake
don't.
the sweats.
No,
And you can fake a lot of stuff, but the sweats are not one of them. And a full blown panic or a PT, because they are two different things, or a
Oh yeah.
PTSD attack, you can't fake either one of them.
No, you can't.
right. So if that now this is my observation throughout reports, not my personal experience. My personal experience has been generally positive. Okay, for
Mine
me,
too.
it's been generally positive. Not everybody has that. Um, but the reports that I read, things like Travis Walton, right? He did not have a positive experience. That girl at the desk, she did not have a positive experience. Lynn, I believe you also did not have a positive experience, uh,
You
from what
know,
I remember.
I see things very different than most people do. I believe that even if you have a terrifically unpositive experience, you can view it in a positive way,
Right,
and you can uh, accept what has happened in a positive way.
right.
Um, was I scared out of my mind? Oh my God, yes. I was terrified. And Storm was too. And Storm's not an easy scare.
That's what I'm talking about. The not how we regard it later, because I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
At the
You know,
time, the
I
idea
agree.
of being picked up again sends us both into flutters and, oh, no, we
Being
don't want
picked
to do
up,
that again.
just right, just like you said, being picked up in the manner you were
Yeah.
before.
The two of us
I
Yeah, I'm
avoid
still
that
trying to figure out how
area.
to convince them to not bring me back.
yeah, we I said it in either last show or some show. We're the chest beaters left behind They didn't want us. We're the descendants. They took the ones they wanted, or the ones that got along. They just got in their spaceships and they left.
Yeah.
Mayans, Atlantis.
Yeah.
Well,
But
Atlantis was an interesting setup.
right. Well, I'm just for an example of speaking.
In as far as the occurrence itself, in retrospect, was not a horribly unpleasant thing. What was unpleasant was the anxiety about what was happening and what was going to happen. That was unpleasant.
Right. They were
The
pushing your
shock of
buttons.
it was unpleasant. You know,
Right.
as far as the overall experience, while deeply disturbing, wasn't horrible. And I've heard of plenty of others whose experience was horrible.
Right.
Absolutely from start to finish horrible.
Right.
But ours was not.
You don't have that well, you have that kind of context. You have that kind of you can evaluate in retrospect.
Yeah.
These other people I'm talking about cannot. That girl, Travis Walton, is
They
saying
can't move on from it.
right. They can't look at it in a positive way, like you and I can. I have had
Yeah.
bad. Of course, we've all had bad experiences. We look back and like, man, if that hadn't happened, this wouldn't happen. This chain of events
Of
wouldn't
course.
not have happened. But
And we shouldn't
those
be the people we are today either.
right, those guys can't. Those guys are not. They're like, I'm a victim, and that seems
Yeah.
to be typical. That seems to be well. Those are the loud ones. You know what I mean? Those are the ones that make books and headlines. Travis Walton. He's been on tour since it happened. Since it
Sure.
happened, he's been going around every year. There's something, and he's there. You know, at some kind of an event or conference or TV show, something.
Well,
Um,
you can choose to be victimized by it, or you can choose to see the thing in complete light and be willing to see it even in your mind's eye, be willing to see it and decide, I am not a survivor, I am not a victim, I'm a warrior, and it's my job to respond and to report these things exactly as they happened.
Yep. Okay. Tim is saying my experience with the Grays were disturbing, but my response has been neutral. That's
Yeah.
that's what we have the
Yeah,
retrospective
yeah,
one.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I believe that I may have been in their mating program. Same. Okay. I talked about it on here. Same. And it was the strangest part, right? Right. The person I talked to was very positive. He was neutral but positive. He was like, "Why are you calling? It's great that you call, but why are you calling?" And
Who wants to talk to this guy? I'm
yeah,
sorry, I had to do it.
this ghost guy from Earth is calling. Does anybody want to take this? um,
Take it, it'll be fun.
yeah, and yeah, the Mantis person I talked to, very positive, but they weren't the ones who did my previous experience. It was the Grays, and
And,
oh man, Keith,
and they weren't in your face.
no.
See what
Well,
I'm saying? They had just enough space between you to have a good response and good rapport.
you talking about the Mantis?
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. That was I have. Let me be clear. I have no doubts they exist. I am not looking for evidence. I'm talking about these other people, right? I'm talking about these other people. I have no doubt that they're out there and we're down here and we're in some kind of a corral, okay? And it's not their corral. It's our corral. We put it up. They didn't put it up. We put it up. They just don't want to take our phone calls. That's it. I don't think they are in control of anything except themselves. We are boxing ourselves in, and our governments have done it, right? The ones that know anything about it, because I seriously don't know if all these small countries in Europe know what the heck's going on, right? I don't think Qatar knows what's going on. I do think other places do, but not like every country on the globe. So, to be clear, I have no doubt that they exist. Me personally, I have been contacted a couple few times, and I also have no doubt that our government's involved because every time I did anything in the army about Area 51 or aliens, the men in black showed up.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to be clear. And they are not doing it. We are doing our own boxing off. Humans are doing it to humans because this stuff goes way back. I'm talking ancient times. Stories of the Anunnaki, stories of Atlantis, stories of the Inca, stories Moonies, all these things, right? Okay, I think I'm getting my energy back. Maybe I won't screw up next time, next show. Yeah, no doubts whatsoever. I have no doubt. The only thing I doubt are my human compatriots that don't want to talk about this stuff, right? And I doubt the people who are in denial of this. The people like my coworker who had a short circuit when I was talking about when I was having you on for the first time, Keith. He short circuited. He could not handle it. So he went to he said flat Earth, and I'm like, never mind. He literally did that. He goes, I'm telling him, he goes, flat Earth, and I'm,
well, that's hysterical.
yeah.
Well, I like the concept of flat Earth. I like
Yeah,
the way one chap put it for me. Everybody accepts that every other planet in the solar system is round-ish. So who was the genius that decided that one planet would be turned into a flat one?
right. That's
Yeah.
good. And I'm
I
not
mean,
going to
you
do a
can
flat
you
Earth
can
show.
see it. You can see it through telescopes and everything
Yeah,
else.
you can see it at the top of Trans Mountain Road.
Yeah.
It's there.
And anytime you get up to a vista where you can see more than 12 or 15 miles, you can see where the edge of
The curvature.
horizon curves over.
Yeah, you can
It's,
see it.
Yeah, but
right
that's an
there.
optical illusion.
Beg pardon?
They call that an optical illusion.
I know. That's
Shows the intelligence of some people.
I refuse to have a flat Earth show because those guys are idiots. I'm sorry. I'm tolerant to a lot of misconceptions, honest mistakes, search for truth type stuff. But
Deliberate ignorance
those guys,
is beyond.
no. I'm not even going to entertain that kind of show. The fact
See,
that
I only have one question and I keep running through my own mind. It's got nothing to do with anybody but me.
okay,
I look at the amount of information I'm sitting on, and I'm constantly asking if my mind has gone completely off rail. And then I get people when I'm talking to them corroborating exactly what I've already written down, sometimes by a different name.
right, Keith. Before I even knew you were before I knew you at all, right? Before Spaced Out Radio, before any of that, that's when my experience happened. My Gray's experience. And
Right.
the hybrids had spots. You confirmed that for me that the hybrids have spots. It's still real unclear, right? But I remember them having spots. Not spots like a leopard, but different. They had patterns, and they had some spot like a line or like apart or like down here or like down here or down here or down
Well,
here.
it's a pigmentation complication.
Right. But they look like spots.
Our experience was long before we met you, like about a year before.
Oh yeah, well this is why I say I question it all the time. And people have literally looked at me and told me I'm completely nuts. I'm like, well, I've got 3 professional earth trained professional psychiatrists that have all told me I'm perfectly sane. I still question that.
Well, maybe you're a carrier. I don't know. That's what we tell Millard. Certified completely sane. We looked at him and said, yeah, but you're a carrier. I'm teasing you.
Oh, that's okay.
I'm absolutely teasing you. And I know that doesn't translate well for you. I'm sorry.
I was told by my other half the other day, for somebody that speaks in such colloquial sarcasm, it's amazing how much you miss.
You are good at sarcasm. I've got a Wawa that agrees with that.
Well, it boils down to this. I listen
Sorry
to a
about
lot
that. I'll go ahead and mute that so we don't listen to her.
Okay, well, she muted for a moment because the dog's in the background. You were saying something, Keith.
Yeah, I came to the conclusion that sarcasm is a heck of a sight better than uttering what comes out of my mouth.
Yeah, and it's better than punching somebody too. So, sarcasm.
Well, given that I've only hit 3 people, excluding my family, I've only hit 3 people out of anger. All 3 ended up and I only hit them once. All 3 ended up in the hospital.
Right. Okay. We'll leave that as a footnote. I don't really want to explore that, okay?
Yeah.
Just it's an interesting side note, but I don't want to get you wound up over it.
Yeah, my bonus just gave her father some cheesecake, blueberry cheesecake, and I'm like, oh boy.
Yeah, but yeah, so we didn't know we were going to talk about lawsuits against aliens, but
here we are.
Yeah.
Well, considering the screwball system that virtually every country on the planet has for lawsuits, I can't see that going anywhere anyway.
Right. Oh, no. Humans would classically tie it up with red tape. Classic.
Oh, yeah.
They would log jam. They would cover it with paper.
Nope. There is another solution to lawsuits in many of the cultures.
And
terminate the aggressor. Lawsuit gets thrown out if the complainant is deceased.
You're talking about the off-worlders, right?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, I'm talking about like Italy. Now, I'm keeping it on Earth. I'm keeping it what a human's doing now, and I don't think
I'm referring to the idea of suing the off-worlders.
Yeah, I don't think it would work.
Good with Robot Jim. Next year, NBC's newest legal drama, CIS Jupiter. All right. Yeah, no, I follow, of course, Keith's positive perspectives pretty close. I moderate the show. And yeah, you've said this about a number of the different parties involved in being aliens, being aliens, that they brook no bullshit from anybody.
No, but they are quite ready to eat their opponent. Most of them are.
Somehow or another, we just don't do that. Whereas most of us don't. I won't say nobody does.
No, there are some out there that do.
Oh, yeah.
Why is it that Nathan always looks like he's talking, but he never has any sound coming through?
Oh, I'm not talking right now. I'm doing adjustments.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's thinking. He's thinking hard.
Checking the chat, making sure I'm not missing anything, trying to look up references, etc. Okay, and also through observation, right?
Yeah.
I'm seeing that if there was a treaty in the 50s, like is in mainstream ufology, then there were a certain number of humans to be used as abductees,
Yeah.
and there were a certain number to be contacted. There was a control group of a sort. I'm not ascribing our scientific process to them, but to look from the outside, from my perspective, looking at things that have happened, some were designated to be abducted and returned. Some were designated to be abducted and not returned. Some were on this 20 and back program that has come up in recent years, right? And
Yeah, that one, I'm afraid if they're looking at now, somebody, when I heard about that, said something about take them away for 20 years, bring them back at the same time, just 20 years older, is what I got wind of.
Okay, here's what I was told, and I watched the entire interview with this Matthew guy, right? And he's no, a couple of people, a few people have come out, but this is the biggest story that I heard, that what they do now is they take the person's consciousness and they teleport it over into another human body or something, or they take them and then now this guy said they de-age the human and bring them back at the same time. I don't think that's feasible. Okay, I agree with
Right.
you on the time travel thing, right? Especially humans doing it. Just no, we're not Marty McFlying around the universe, right?
No, the way to do that, you'd have to disassemble reality.
Right. However, it is not outside the possibilities also through observation and it doesn't break any of those laws, okay? That we are observing time differently than they are, right? This is complicated stuff. This is like
Right.
fifth dimensional type
You
of
look
thing.
at the psychology of human beings, you start monkeying around with their abject reality, and they get a
Well,
little squirrely.
here's the problem with that. Number one, that I'm aware of, on Earth, we have 6 different calendars in existence. I used to know exactly what they were. But time itself, contrary to Terran cognition, is not a malleable system. They talk about time using different words, but the fact is, even for them, you don't move backwards in time ever. You don't degress something, because if you degress the mind, you blow out all the neurons that got built up in the first place, and you got nothing to work with.
Agreed.
Right.
Also in theory. Okay. Oh man, there's so
Well,
much
the
that comes off of
ability,
this.
the ability even to accept any of it, would
You have
be
you
very
have
iffy in humans.
very few people can even contemplate this type of thing.
Yeah.
Oh, I have just been bought a coffee. Thank you so much, whoever did it. Let me. That is going into things like the webcam, the tripod, the the replacement headset that I apparently am going to need.
Thank you,
Yeah,
whoever did
DJ, I
that.
hate
We
to tell you this.
appreciate.
Hate to tell you this, DJ, but disassembling in a reality is, quite frankly, it's one of the few times I'll use it. It's never recommended.
Yeah. I think it would be catastrophic. I really do, and I
I
don't
think it'd
mean
be a
just
break,
for the
but I'm
individual.
twisted that way.
Yeah, disassembling reality is like, now we're getting into Doctor Who territory. Forget it. It's not going to happen. It's keep it with the TARDIS. I'm not going to.
And they're right. Like and subscribe, folks.
Yes.
To hear your quantum.
I'm going to throw that up there now too, because this is the weeds of it, right? And I can only look at what I've. And Keith, they only tell us so much. I'm not talking about us. I'm talking about even individually. Now that guy, that I talked to, he told me a lot, but I couldn't decode it. I couldn't process it. He sent me a high def signal, and I got a black and white TV going over here. How am I supposed to handle that?
Right.
I'm grabbing advocates. Apparently, they work.
Right. I didn't have one.
Yeah, one computer is like another, right, Keith?
Well, this is why I keep trying to figure out how people are assuming. This is why I went over what I did with the issue of war. You know, people keep trying to assess and trying to assign human cognition to off-worlders. Gene Roddenberry, back in 1963, pinned down the problem when he said the biggest problem with dealing with off-worlders wouldn't be language. It would be the fact there was no correlation. Every corporeal human on the planet, you hold up a container. It may look different, but they'll know it's a container. I go here or I go coffee. Everybody is going to figure out you're offering them something, okay, that is presumably beneficial because of tonal inflection and what have you. In the off-worlder perspective, this does not apply.
Now, are they getting set to clop me over the head with it or what? You know?
Well, I will tell you this, with the Frontieren, humans put your hand up, and the human to a human is saying, I give up, don't shoot. Frontieren puts their hands up, do not take a step towards them, they'll take your head off.
Okay, right. No common ground. That's another thing. No, there's no common ground. There's no common
experience.
If I go like this, that means understood, message received, right? If y'all are telling me our mics went out
in this country, yes, not across the world, not always.
Okay, but here,
no, right there's another term to go sit on it.
Right, but if I do this to you guys, I'm going message received, confirmed, understood.
Yeah.
Same thing with this. If I go like this, we do this, we do this, we do this. You know, that's like message or agree or confirmed, message received, positivity, right? They don't look at we don't have a common gesture speak.
No. Not generally.
Right. No, I mean
no, when we had the microphone situation, I told you, give me a minute, one, right? And then I tapped the microphone and showed you, hey, this is my problem. I'll be back in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And we both understood exactly what the other one was saying, huh?
Well, that's because sign language between corporeal humans is viable. But you gotta learn to understand what culture is.
And this is be quiet.
Or stop or pause.
Or stop or pause.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and I was also wanting to go over morals and ethics from over there to over here. We can look at the small examples of just here, different humans compared to different humans, right?
Oh, the coffee was from Tim and Sarah. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much. It's going to go to my future replacement of headphones. Or something. A new flashlight for hunting, for exploring, or something.
For haunting?
Really? Not haunting.
Well, I'm not sure how that's going to work for you, but give it a shot.
Okay. But like, let's say just something we're mostly all familiar with is Mexican culture. Mexico versus here. Because
well, you and I might be, but I think Keith is kind of on the short end on that.
Well, let's face it, I haven't dealt much with the Mexicans.
Right, you're on the other.
I'm on the other border.
Right. So the cultures are different. They
Oh
they
yeah.
do a thing called the way I had it explained to me in psychology class was collectivism versus individualism.
Mm-hmm.
If the family needed you to do something, that's what you did. It didn't matter what you were doing personally for yourself. If the family needed you to do something, that's what you did.
And you
And
dropped
Presumably this
everything
means
to get it done.
right,
presumably this means if you're the son and you're doing something and the family requires something, you drop what you're doing and take care of the family problem.
oh,
Yep.
son or daughter, any
It doesn't
all the
matter.
I couldn't see the point in saying son, daughter, uncle, aunt, nephew.
well, that's why I said
Well,
family. If the family needs
I
you,
don't know. In that particular environment, the eldest son is considered to be responsible for the entire family when he reaches age, along
right,
with his father. That's
right,
how it works. The
yeah,
eldest daughter is expected to take care of her mother and siblings.
right, and that and they do. It's a collectivism type
Hmm.
idea. Here in the United States and Canada, we do more individualism. If this person over here needs something, I will help if I can, but not at my own expense. That is a big difference, right?
That's a big problem.
Right. Well, it's a big difference between the two cultures. Now, those are just humans.
And you
Imagine,
got to remember, though, there's so many subcultures in the United States.
right?
For
Northern
the
United,
Mexican, it could be Romanian. I mean, there's a everything is represented.
right? I was using one small example that is
Right.
generally familiar.
Well,
And
you know why the cultures have fractured, eh?
say that again.
You know why we have such a diverse, a complicated fracturing of culture?
Tell us.
When you put laws together, if they do not apply equally to everybody on all levels, you will have a fractured society. If that new fracture does not make laws in itself that are equal and that apply to everybody equally, it will fracture again.
Right. That's Earth. That's just Earth. We do that all the time. It's happening right now. We're doing it.
Right now, it's getting decimated to the point that you guys could be in serious trouble.
Yeah.
Well, no, you are in serious trouble. Never mind, could be.
Right. We are. We are.
We
I'm
don't
glad
have to
I'm
wait
saying,
around for it. It's here.
yeah, I mean, but okay, now that's Earth. That's the United States. Let's go there, right? Um, now imagine the difference between all these different cultures. Now, I can't really give a real life example because it really hasn't happened yet. And you put all these different cultures in a room, the ones not from Earth, and they're not all going to get along because
Heck,
they're
all the ones on Earth don't get along. Have you noticed the political field?
yeah,
Right,
exactly, exactly. But the humans will band together because that's the familiar thing. Uh,
Yeah, I would say
Yeah,
most
talk about putting all the fish
most
in
of
the
them
same
will.
barrel.
right. Like even you can do it in the woods. Let's say
I'm
raccoon.
thinking that, that kind of conflict, humans have to realize one little detail. You create that kind of a conflict in a confined area, the shortest answer is going to be the shortest outcome is every human in the compound will be dead in a matter of minutes.
Yes, I was getting there, right? But I was going to draw it back a little bit where you got humans and raccoons in the same area, right? All these different humans, but a group of raccoons also. Let's say at a park, there's a quinceanera going on over here. There's whatever, a bunch of
Birthday
different,
party, a family reunion.
right. You got all these different humans with different cultural things, and a whole bunch of raccoons in another close area. The raccoons want to eat all the other people's food because that's what raccoons do, right? They want to go and they want to bum and they want to use their little hands to steal. That's just raccoons. All the humans are going to be against the raccoons because even though the humans may not get along, they all don't want to be bothered by the raccoons.
True.
Well, we are the raccoons. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I was getting at.
Okay,
We're the
that makes
raccoons.
sense.
And we're the ones with our little greedy little hands, and we're going out and oh god, the technology. We don't have the technology to even.
No, we're just figuring out how to wash our food.
Heck, you guys can barely click two rocks together comparatively.
Yeah, I call it. We're still
Yeah.
playing with rocks and dirt, and we are. We're just discovering that there is something beyond rocks and dirt. Hence the quantum show. I have discovered this. I can't really access it readily, but I know it's there. Even the science stuff that I do. What is it? Mercury, crystals, rocks and dirt. That's rocks and dirt. And I'll own it. I'm not saying I'm doing anything better because I'm going on 1,000-year-old ideas, Mercury
Yeah.
and crystals, 1,000 years old or more.
When something presents itself that's a better idea, I would like to think that we'll pick it up and do it.
I hope
I'd
so.
like to think that too. I've just seen so much that says otherwise.
Yeah.
Don't have a lot of faith left in that one.
Right.
Yeah,
Well,
that sounds pessimistic, but you think about it. 2,000 years ago, we were doing the same thing we're doing today. We just got better toys. Heck,
yeah.
bring it recent.
Boom.
Bring it recent. I just a couple of months ago finished getting printed my grandmother's autobiography. People 100 years later are exactly the same. They've just got different toys.
Right. You know what has advanced? Our social acceptance, because you can go into a lot of different places.
You want to run that by me again?
What has become socially acceptable by a lot of us and tolerated by most of us. Now, I don't mean the aliens or demons guys, right? Those are the intolerant crowd. They're just going to always be there. They're full of fear and they don't want to hear anything about it. But
excuse me,
I can go buy. We have a store called Five Below. I don't know if y'all have one, Keith. Y'all have something else up there, but the store.
I have no idea what it would contain.
Be like a dollar store, a little bit more expensive.
Oh, we've got all of those. We got all kinds of those, and we literally call them dollar stores.
Okay, okay. In England, it's called Poundland, right? And there's another one, but
we got a street here that's just about called that.
Okay, but there are stores, and you can buy books on crystal magic, home witchcraft, tarot cards, develop your psychic abilities, because we have it built in, and I have come to know this for a fact. We are the quantum machines, not the material science. The material science follows our mind.
Well, the material science is trying to quantify and validate that.
Right. And it's not. Go ahead, Keith.
You do remember that the modern computer was patterned after the brain.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to do with technology what the brain does. And sadly, the computers seem to be thinking more than the brains are.
Right. Yeah. Well, not getting into the whole computer AI thing. Don't need to go there right now.
I wasn't even going AI. I was going with this. I was going with a solar calculator.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you actually know how to run one, where so many people coming out of school right now don't.
I have to go look at the book every time. I have to look at the manual every time. And if it doesn't have a manual, I can't use it.
No, I was talking for the simple calculator.
Me too.
Simple calculator.
Me
This
too.
funny little thing. You know, here's the funny part. I bought this. I don't remember how much I paid for it, but I got it back in the early 70s. In the mid 70s, I picked this up. I've never replaced the battery. I've never had to have it taken into the shop for repair.
Could
And it
now
still
if you
works
want
as good
to.
as the day I bought it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Robot Jim is saying, I was hinting at this. 20 Question Games was the OG learning neural network, right? I was kind of hinting at something like that, but I'm not wanting to go with human AI, machine learning tonight, right? Not tonight.
Okay.
Trying to talk about disclosure and narrative and how we're being guided, and I do believe we're being guided. Like, okay, those guys, Lou Elizondo, David Grush, and now this new guy, Matthew Pines. They're appealing to three totally different crowds of people. Elizondo went to shows like this one. Well, bigger shows, right? They went
Mm-hmm.
to I think he was on, I don't know, Spaced Out Radio, I think he was on there. I'm not sure. He went to blog type casts like this one. And then David Grush, he went to Congress. He went to the governing agencies, right? Congress. He presented
Right.
in front of Congress. Now, this Matthew Pines guy he's appealing to the business sector. They're all still on protocol. When I watched this guy's interview, Matthew Pines, I immediately was like, this guy is a plant. This guy comes out of nowhere. He comes out of crypto business and he's talking business terminology, like white collar terminology. So it's another part of the slow drip disclosure because now the government knows, the people are aware of it. Thanks, Elizondo. The government knows. Thanks, Grush. All of this stuff was on Good Morning America mainstream TV, and now this Matthew Pines guy is going around to the business part of it. It seems very methodical, these chains of events, right?
Mm-hmm.
John DeLong, Raven said it. I need to write that down. John DeLong tried to be bringing it to the people, but he's kind of a loose cannon. You can't control that guy. He's a rock star, okay? And he has done some crazy stuff on these shows that are like not so attractive to listen to. He doesn't talk like Dave's guests. Dave would have them on and he would talk to them like sociability, right?
Mm-hmm.
And talk to them like, you want to talk about your book or you want to talk about your experience, you want to talk about your movie, let's do this. John DeLong couldn't do that, right? John DeLong, half the time he was drunk going to these interviews and he was unhinged.
Oh,
Sometimes
that's
he-
professional.
right,
And
sometimes
in my opinion, you just take somebody like that and you throw him off the site.
the government threw him off.
Oh, no shit.
Tom DeLong. Right. Aussie.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, Aussie.
Thanks.
New mod in the house, Aussie. He corrected the host. Good job, bud. Tom
Well,
DeLong.
they can pick up stuff so much quicker.
Yeah,
We'd have to shut down stuff and look it up, screw around, and that's why I got Storm. And
Right.
you know,
That's why I
this
got
is-
mods all together because I couldn't track what I was saying anyway.
yeah.
Tom DeLong was random loose cannon, and he was either drunk or stoned when he went on these interviews. And they were like, "No, we're gonna go with one of our own guys. We knew this was a bad idea," type thing, and they went with Elizondo.
Would he promise he wouldn't do it, or what?
Well, they want, okay, according to what interviews I heard, they wanted someone the people could relate to. They made the wrong
They
decision.
should have brought Elmer Fudd out.
The
Right.
story put up here something that's kind of on target. So the aliens don't want us. Nobody on the planet wants to cooperate with anyone else. Why do I bother?
Why do you think I ask the same question on such a frequent basis with you guys?
Right.
Where do you think we got it?
Because we have the potential.
Okay. Well, I can't argue that point. Well, I could, but why bother?
Right. Well, I said it in the first hour, right?
Yeah.
We are not being interfered with because their rules say prime directive, do not interfere with the developing culture. Understood.
Oh, yes.
And then you got the observers and the experimenters, and no one's coming here for resources. Okay. The only resource that's unique here are humans.
Mm-hmm.
They say we're coming for the resources of Earth. No, they're not. If they can get here, they don't need our stuff. Okay. And they definitely don't need our cryptocurrency.
You know what they want?
Us.
Us.
They want us.
0 point energy.
Right. Because Keith, you said it, and I concur. We can natively, naturally, and kind of by accident manipulate what you call 0 point energy. I call our quantum link.
Right.
Same thing. Same thing.
Well, that's kind of like saying, I mean, don't get me wrong. It's on the. I'm not going to argue, quibble over the title, but I will tell you this: 0 point energy is such a tiny molecule compared to your quantum energies. This is where the difference is, not the principle behind it.
Okay. Well.
Right. Got it.
But we have that ability, and apparently it's a rare ability.
It is.
I'm having I have a feeling that it's because of where we are in physicality, vibration, and a crossing of all these different circumstances that plus our own abilities.
Well, psychic ability and some of those.
Right.
In some of the circumstances that I've heard the aliens' culture being described would not be conducive to developing these gifts. Not at all.
You know how they say we're a product of our environment?
Yeah.
They're a product of their environment also.
Right.
And their environment doesn't accommodate for those abilities. Ours does. And
it does in a very haphazard fashion, certainly. But having grown up in the field, as I know Lynn has done, this culture is not conducive to our ability to see beyond it.
No.
I didn't say culture. I said environment. You're absolutely right. Our culture does not.
Oh no! I grew up in an environment that should have beat it out of me. To be honest with you, they tried awful hard.
Just to be clear, they were pretty insistent on doing it.
Oh yes.
My parents were a little bit more. We're a little bit more along the lines of don't show people what you can do.
Yeah.
That's
and I do question whether mom and dad really knew how much there was.
Mine didn't worry about that. Mine worried about never ever seeing it ever. I mean, don't just not show, but don't be.
That's kind of the way my mom and dad were, but my grandmother was like, "Let me show you how to do this, but don't talk about it." That's the way my grandma.
How to do it, Grandma.
Yeah, my mama did too.
Yeah, DJ is in there saying, "Everyone but you, Quantum Show, Alien Girl 111, and GUFON, meaning us here, right? Our panel, and seem to glow up to me." Yeah.
Up?
psyop.
Oh no,
Psyop.
what do you mean? What does it mean?
Psychological operation. It's propaganda. Getting people to
Uh,
think the narrative.
I was brought up in a fundamentalist household. Okay, they didn't like dresses. You know, all sleeves all the way to the wrist, collar all the way to the chin. Think Handmaid's Tale. Now, think what
Just
kind of a
saying,
person I
grow up,
must be not to be able to handle that, you know?
grow up nothing like growing up in the 18th century. Eh?
Yeah, yeah. And we got electricity. We got it when I was 10 years old. We actually moved to a place that had electric and had a bathroom.
Yeah, a buddy of mine
We didn't
was
have to
close
boil
to
water
15.
for the bathroom.
Buddy of mine was close to 15 when they got running water.
Yeah. And I lived in rural Ohio. And that happened about 1965. 4 or 5.
You know what? It's been over an hour, and we have derailed a little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
Okay. What Tim was talking about, I haven't gotten another cup of coffee. What Tim was talking about, the psychological operation, psyop,
Yeah.
everyone smacks of that other stuff. They're the ones who are guiding the narrative. That's what I was meaning, right? Except not us. I'm saying something not the narrative. We are saying something not the narrative. And well, then we went to the 18th century, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Welcome to the Quantum Show. You don't belong in the same century. You're welcome.
Yep. Yes.
All right. Well, we're moving right along.
Okay, yeah, that means I need coffee. I will be back. Watch for ghosts. For sure.
Oh boy. Watching for ghosts here. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with him if I find him, but by George, we're going to see him.
I have a hard time not seeing them.
So do I.
Yeah.
I gave up not seeing them. I was probably about 10. Yeah. I realized that it was just part of it. I was either nutty or a fruitcake or genuinely seeing them. So I just accepted that as part of my life and went on with it. You see them all the time. You saw them when you were a youngster too.
Oh God, I started seeing him when I was still in the incubator.
Yeah. Could you tell a difference? I had trouble with it for a time.
Only in as much as the corporeals tended to come through the door and the non-corporeals came through the wall.
Yeah, they're just as big in Hall and Spar, aren't they?
Pretty much.
It's although, it really depends on where I am is how much I will see of it. And it's interesting how that works. Like in my own household, I believe you were here, and there's quite a bit of activity here back and forth. I was remarkably quiet while you were here.
It was well, I think I know what that reason was. Because let's face it, it's been a decade since I've been down there.
Yeah.
And politely putting it, it's going to sound like an ego-driven problem. But I've been told by a number of the deceased, they don't want to kick me off because they'll just come over there and kill them if they do. Mm-hmm. Which, by the way, that's not actually that hard to do. It's molecular disassembly.
Yeah. It's more or less finely honed survival tactic.
Ultimately, yes.
Yeah. They were pretty quiet while you were here. I didn't really see anybody while you were here. But most days I'll see them wander through, and what I am less than a mile away from the El Camino Real. And
Yeah.
I showed you that.
Yeah.
And I believe that in this little area here was a watering hole. Okay, it was very near one. And also a cemetery, which I also showed you. And I think there was so much sorrow go through here that some people are just sort of stuck in the loop.
They are. There is no question there in my mind at all.
And of course, we had fun while we were at the Double Eagle. That place was hopping.
Yeah, it was. But they needed more alcohol gas, those guys.
Yeah. Did you enjoy your rye? Your 2 fingers of rye.
I did.
Poor girl. Didn't quite understand what I asked for. But at least she knew what rye was.
Well, it's a nice start. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Trail of Tears through to your area there, Tim. Through here, the conquistadors would capture and kill the Apache, the Hopi, the Pueblo. And that's just who I could think of off the top. The Comanche usually did the opposite, took care of them. But yeah, Storm says, I see way too much. I'm so tired of these Homo sapiens thinking they're the greatest beings in the multiverse. I'd just like to go home. Oh, Storm's feeling particularly bad tonight.
Oh. Well, I hope he gets to feeling better.
Yeah, I think we got a change of weather coming in. And he feels that so strongly.
Okay. I'm looking around. Okay, we tried to talk about this comment, and then we zipped over to the 18th century, so that's okay. And then, okay, Aussie. I've never had the pleasure of seeing a ghost, and he also says or alien. You are in Australia, right? Ask if you know any Aborigine people. Ask them about the star people or the sky people, because I believe they have tales of that, right?
Or go out to Red Rock.
Yeah.
I don't know what the actual place is called, but about the middle of Queensland, I think it is.
The ritual stone, Red Rock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, that's the only lead I got is the sky people, star people of the Aborigine.
Yeah.
Um,
They have a lot of different mythology involving all of it.
Yeah, there was
one or old memory, more likely. You were saying?
There's one group, I believe it's the Hopi, right, where they didn't understand what they were being asked about the Greys, aliens, but they showed them a picture, not green, obviously. They showed them a picture and they go, "Oh yeah, we know those guys. They're called the something or others."
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, "Oh well, okay. Now we can communicate a little more." What
and that would be what my problem is.
Yeah, Ayers Rock. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Storm's correct. I couldn't think of that.
Okay. So, Aussie. Aussie's talking about. I haven't seen them either yet. Well, and Tim says they're very different from each other, meaning aliens and ghosts. And then, we have the whole thing. Us on this side of the veil. The aliens are on this side of the veil too. They don't they know about it, but from the people I've talked to, there is some kind of agreement or rule or something that one side doesn't interfere with the other side. They both have different reasons. Say that again.
there's an agreement between one side and the other side of the veil as to who can go over.
Right. There's some. I don't know if there is an agreement or
a rule, a universal
a
rule, or
rule
what?
or who enforces it, but that TikTok girl, Rebecca the Ghost Guide, I got a question in at the very last minute. She gave me like 5 minutes of time, and I said, "What about aliens?" And she started talking about the local UFOs, and then she was translating for her ghost there, right? Because she's a ghost whisperer,
Mm-hmm.
and she goes, "Oh, well, I've never seen him act like that. Oh, we're not supposed to talk about that."
Oh, well, I'll tell you right now, you got a problem.
What is that problem?
Having been dead as often as I have been, aliens, humans, ancient races, plants, animals, anything with a soul ends up in the same place.
Yes.
There is no separation between the aliens that die or the dogs that die. The same problem happens when people tell me, "Oh, pets don't go to the same heaven that people do." Yeah, they do.
Right. Well, yeah, that's along the lines of what I'm saying. That's it's not a problem. It's a different aspect of the same thing, Keith. We just haven't worked through it to get to it yet. Talking about it.
So much of the religious dogma is accepted as fact rather than a surmising. And you come up with stuff that, oh, this is impossible, that can happen,
right, based
blah,
on
blah,
their
blah.
limited spectrum.
They don't see it as the limited spectrum. There you go.
Right.
And the average human being can look up the sky and see the sky. Beyond that, not usually. Or look at trees, or look at and be part of the world, and feel they're separate from that, and we're not separate. We're part of the whole.
Right. But then we have the veil. I'm talking about. Okay, the example was Rebecca the Ghost Guide, her ghost boy there, ghost person there, right?
Sorry about that. I'll just mute.
Oh, I don't know. But she said, "Oh, that he was saying to her, oh, we're not supposed to talk about that," and he wouldn't give an answer. And that was the, and she just relayed what he was saying more about that. How, oh, we're not supposed to talk about that. So apparently they are aware of each other, but they don't really do it for whatever reason. I don't know what the reason is. That is all I have to go by, is that Rebecca's episode that day. I just happened to be there. It was literally on our lunch break at work, and it was the very last 5 minutes of my break in her show. And I said, "Aliens? Question, question, question." And she started talking about UFOs. And then the ghost chimed in and says, "Oh, well, we're not supposed to talk about that." Why? What are they going to do? I don't know. She wouldn't talk about it anymore. And I would have had to ask leading questions to get an answer, but it's like feeling your way around in a dark room. I don't know how to do that with.
Well,
that's a pretty advanced topic,
Maybe she just felt it was outside of her realm.
The ghost
for that
did.
show.
No, she was taking, it was an open lines type show, right?
Yeah.
And
all right. Her channel.
Okay, sorry, y'all were both talking, and I didn't hear either one of you.
What I said was, we're not talking about the ghost having a problem. We're talking about her not being comfortable with it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, the ghost was uncomfortable with it. The ghost said, "I'm not supposed to talk about that." And I was like, "Oh, why? Why?" Because nothing had gotten a rise out of that entity like my question. And I had watched 2 hours of this open line show.
Hmm.
And everything was, you know, your typical ghost questions. And then I come in, the very last part, and all I get is the ghost replying, "Oh, I'm not supposed to talk about that." Like, "Oh, I'm not supposed to talk about that." She reenacts what she sees. She's a seer and a speaker, so she can see and hear them, right? Spirits. And she does skits about her interaction with a ghost, and she, dresses up like how she perceives them. And it's like one person talking to another person. And she was doing that on this live stream, not with the costumes and everything, but she was talking about, oh, she was pantomiming him, but, oh, I'm not supposed to talk about that. I'm not supposed to talk about that. So the ghost had some kind of rule he was going by, but we could ask a pointed question if we knew what to ask. But I don't know what to ask. And she ended the show right after. I'm like, and she went totally monetized. So yeah, see, she's got another ghost that advises her to do everything for money.
You do realize ghosts actually don't care about money.
Yeah, you realize that I'm chewing my tongue into hamburger now.
I was thinking that myself, but
okay. I can see all these different perspectives, right?
Yeah.
Because unfortunately, I only have one perspective here, but I'm saying these ghosts, I don't know why they haven't moved on, but they're there with her, and they're still like going through the motions of their lives, and they're choosing to not go to wherever they're supposed to go. Her words, right? Their words through her, and they're going on their previous life, and it was like pioneering America, pioneer times America, like 1700s, early 1700s, late 1600s,
I
early
understand
1700s.
what you're talking about. Sure.
Okay, they're using that as a frame of reference, and this one ghost was a merchant of sorts, and she talks to her all the time. She's kind of like her buddy, and Molly is her name. And she says, "Don't do anything for free. You know better than that. What do you think? Where do you think we both live, girl?" And, that kind of thing. And I'm like, oh boy, she's drawing off her own. None of these people are advanced. She's only aware. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
I do.
They're not advanced. They're aware. You can see the submarine, see the controls, but you are not advanced enough to. I don't know how to drive a submarine.
No, I don't either.
Right? It's just we know it's there, we know it exists, but we don't know how to control it, so we just kind of look at it.
Yeah, I know exactly how to drive a submarine. Grab a submariner captain, tell him to do it.
Right. Well, okay. Right.
There's always a workaround.
The Storm's saying all soul energy returns to the forge of creation.
Yes.
Agreed. And that is...
And in due time it does.
Right. Yes. And I'm... Okay. Yep.
I know that's what he means, because he's seen a ghost or two.
Same.
Yeah.
Same here. I have. And the ones in the cemetery, I don't know why they're still here. I am not able to figure it out. Right. They don't want to talk to me. I'm their goofy neighbor. They don't want to talk to me. I've tried.
I've wandered through cemeteries, and they'll wonder what I'm up to, because they can perceive me. But by and large, there's not too much chatter.
Yeah.
They accept that they're there. I accept they're there. I'm not asking a bunch of questions, I guess. And bada boom, bada bang.
Yeah. So,
but I've had them stop me and say, "Listen, how do I get out of here?"
Right.
Then it becomes a rescue.
Right. Then we go that way because you can't force them.
No.
But getting back to all this, what I'm trying to get on with, right?
Yeah.
Is you have all the off-worlders. You have, we don't know what they are. I believe we're in some kind of a corral or preserve or something. Not by them, by humans. Okay. Don't put your knife away, Keith. You don't have to come after me for that. I know the aliens aren't doing anything to us.
No.
I
They're
wasn't
minding their own
the
business.
aliens anyway.
Huh?
The only corral that we're in, per se, isn't by humans. It's by technically, you could say it is because they haven't developed the technology yet to get off the mud ball properly. They're already off Earth. Humans are, I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It's just not mainstream technology that's available yet.
Right. Well, okay, there have been rumors from these sources I've got, right? That whistleblower says we've got some technology.
You do.
And I'm not talking about the stuff that's on mainstream. It says if you have seen it on Star Trek, we either tried it, did it, and decide and are using it in secret, or we decide it's not worth the effort. I'm not talking about those guys. That's the Good Morning America ufology. I'm talking about this guy I've been talking to. He said he saw some technology. It's not being.
Like I said a while ago, man's already on Titan with a research lab.
Right. I am sure we have. Well, I believe that we have it on, like Titan. We have a co-op going on the moon. Something going on Mars. I'm sure we got a lot of stuff going on out there, and we are the corralled ones here on Earth.
Has anybody considered the idea that in order to inhabit these places, that some of the those that come up missing aren't being sent?
I came up with that one a long time ago. Some of them are actually being sent voluntarily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily saying voluntarily. I'm saying, listen, we need a work crew for this particular project on Mars. And we killed the last ones. Let's grab a couple more.
You know,
that would not be a shock.
I never thought I'd be able to make this reference, but Carlos Mencia made a joke. Now, Carlos Mencia is a Mexican comedian, and he jokes about being Mexican in America. Okay? He said NASA would have fixed. He said, go down to the parking lot of the hardware store. Hire some Mexicans to go fix the shuttle's tiles. Just tell them it's a tile job. They'll know what to do. And I'm like, oh my God. Yes, very important tile job. Very important.
We want to point out to those listening that he is Mexican and he's allowed to say anything he wants to.
Yeah, and he's the one that said it. Carlos Mencia. I'm gonna put that up there.
Carlos Mencia is quite the character, actually. I've heard his gig a few times. He's
right. Carlos
he's absolutely sacrilegious.
Right. Credit to Carlos Mencia for the tile job for the Mexicans on the space station. Okay. Just go to Lowe's, go pick up a couple of guys and tell them they got a tile job for them. That was the joke.
Storm is saying the problem with humans leaving Earth is that they keep coming back.
Yeah. So we've got the humans here and the aliens are here, and then you've got the veil, which is a whole different. It seems like to be a whole different.
That's more of a spiritual concept, though.
Right, but they seem to be aware of each other. and they seem to not want to deal with them.
It's a little hard not to be aware of each other. You know, William Shakespeare, centuries back, made a real simple comment. He goes, you know, if the dead were to get up and walk, we would have one heck of a population problem.
Yes.
You know,
Okay.
the dead from all walks of life end up on the other side of the veil. The ones on the other side of the veil are kind of trying to find a way, a body to come back to.
Right. And we have all kinds of ideas and theories and stuff about why, with people with near-death experiences, they say, we're here to gather experience. And it can't be interfered with. That's the order of things. And I'm like, who defines this order? Is it a natural order? Is it the first order? Is it like...
I can give you an answer to that.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What is so far above what you actually consider God, and so far beyond God, what you consider God's evolution, it was set up in time, way back so far in time, whereby the soul, as it splits, comes to gain wisdom and keeps returning until it gets enough to find the original soulmate. Now, this soulmate can be anything that is living. And by the way, I'm referring to living by living standard, not by human definition.
Okay.
Sometimes a soulmate will be on the other side of the physical veil.
Okay, let me take you back to the quantum. We're not the SOR audience. We got a better understanding of that than I think who you would normally talk to, right?
I understand what Keith is saying though.
Yeah, and I have
that's spirituality that is very advanced.
I had one experience that I haven't talked about too much, but I was drinking a cup of coffee and reading a book, and I was shown, my mind was expanded somehow. I was able to see, all these places. I don't want to say planets, but all these places, and I could see all the detail down to the sand on every beach everywhere, and I saw energy coming in here, going back out, different directions, different. I can't even explain it now. I was in such, I don't know what happened, right?
It was a meditation.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I could write a whole like 200, 300 page book about this, and it would still leave out details, you know?
Why don't you?
Of what? So I do have a clue of what you're talking about, Keith. That what you said, what we call God. Not me. I got a better idea of what you're talking about. Those muggles.
Well, let me put it this way.
I have an idea.
What you call muggles, essentially believe God created everything, which I have no objection to. Problem is, and even when I was teaching about the Bible, problem is what I found out was that what we call God isn't the top of the totem pole.
Right.
And that's where it gets completely hooped.
Okay, yeah. I understood that. I did. I understood that. Because of that experience, I know that it's not the top of it's not the tip top level. It's not creator, it's not source, it's not right.
There isn't one. For all intents and purposes, trying to go back that far and find where did it all begin, well, you have to pick a starting point.
Exactly. And we can only have such a large scope before it just becomes incomprehensible.
Yeah, I mean, my starting point, absolutely, I can tell you what it is, but unfortunately it will not make sense to 90% of the people out there. Or better.
Right. Right. I get it. I totally get it. And they'll think, well, what they always think. You're making up stories. You're lying. You're just doing this for attention. Blah blah blah. The same old muggle responses.
Yeah.
I get that too. I get quit lying, quit telling tales. You're only wanting to be popular. That's what I get, and that's what has been told to me. Quit making stuff up. You've been reading too much science fiction. You've been watching too much TV and playing too many video games. That's what I've been told. But I'm like, this is none of that. This is none of that. But that's okay. Um, so that I just wanted to say that based on what I've heard from other people who I give credit to, not muggles, Rebecca the Ghost Guide, there's some kind of reason why the spiritual and I guess here with us and the aliens don't directly work with each other. Indirectly, ghost whisperers, the people here, the cemetery, Rebecca the Ghost Guide, all of our experiences with spirits and ghosts. Aliens are not demons. The whole thing, we know it's like they're different things out there and they're not all the same because I'm scared of them all the same way. That's the aliens or demons fear. And well, you said it too. The aliens are looking to find out who God is too. They want to know creator too. They want to get to the other side too, and they want to be able to come back. They don't know what it is over there. Your words, you've said that. And I've had spiritual confirmation. That's exactly the way it is.
And that may be what everybody is searching for if you boil it all the way down.
Ultimately, that is what they're all looking for. Problem is, they can't find a way to quantify it.
Or cooperate.
Well, they know how to cooperate, but unfortunately, they've been taught how not to. I mean, the reason I say they know how, watch a group of kids 4 or 5 years old, or better yet, 2 or 3 years old. They don't care what color you are, whether you're disabled, whether you look funny, they could care less. And they certainly never ask you how many dollars are in your bank. They start off playing with each other as is. As they get older, the adults teach them how to be prejudiced, fearful, greedy, the list goes on. They are taught how to do that.
Right. Right.
And by the way, that happens on every other planet I've ever been on.
Right.
So this isn't just a human problem, it's a universal one.
It's a universal one. And it boils down to the hunt for the soul. Because don't forget, we were all brought here to remember, meaning put back together, who and what we are. That's where the whole journey sits. And it applies to every existing individual in the third dimension, and for that matter, in the other 11.
Okay, so we have come to the conclusions. Well, the idea is that society is not ready for all-out disclosure. If they were to come out tomorrow and say, "Oh yeah, we've been working with these aliens forever," most of the population just won't believe it. It'll take them at least, I would say, best guess, 10 to 50 years. 10 to 50 years. That's a big
50, 50 is probably closer before they start to even accept it's possible.
Right.
In my eyes. I'd love to say can, but I don't have my hopes that high.
Yeah, we're ready. Our chat is, wherever it is, our chat is ready.
Yeah.
Most of us here in the chat have had those experiences with both spirits and aliens, off-worlders, right?
Yeah.
But no one's going to listen to us. We've been watching too many movies, too many video games, want too much attention. trying to be popular.
I don't know if people won't listen. I think they do listen, but they absorb as much as they are capable of doing so, however that works for them at that moment. You know, it's more what child learns to read the first time he's handed a book? I can tell you that. None of them.
My older brother was reading full-length novels at 2 years old.
But most kids don't have a 200 IQ.
Well, this is true. I was just referring to the fact
saying,
that some of them do.
Yeah, some of them do, but not very many. And what?
Who understands the book first read it? Me.
Oh, Storm did. I didn't realize that, but yeah. Okay.
Told you there's a couple.
Not
There was
me.
a couple. It wasn't me. I had to teach myself to read. But
Wasn't me either. I pulled information. I didn't learn to read until much later.
Yeah.
I cheated.
I understood books. I didn't necessarily read them. I don't know how to explain that. But you know, most of us with the kiddos, you know, it's a matter of, okay, this is a possibility. Okay, I will entertain that. Hear it again. Still a possibility. I will entertain that. Maybe I'll look some things up and on and upward, you know. But most of us need to learn that way, little by little by little, drop here, drop there. So if we get a drop in or two, I consider it well done.
Yeah, Aussie is saying he may not have seen aliens, but he's seen the UFO.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I've seen dots. That's all I've seen. I've never seen a full-on ship. I've seen dots.
I wish you could sit in my backyard. My God. Some nights it's Grand Central Station with craft coming back and forth. Mm. Some of it's perfectly logical stuff to be coming through. Some of it's not. You know?
Right. Oh, by the way, Keith, one show you said, point your camera at this particular area of the sky over the left side of my house. I did, and I saw a lot of stuff moving around up there. That was very cool.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I do appreciate the corroboration.
Yeah, unfortunately, it was outside, and dew settled on the camera, so all I got after that was just a bright gray blur.
That's disappointing.
Yeah, I can't do that. I can't do much about that.
Yeah, I should have. I have all I had was that one camera, and it just the dew settled on it, and it was over because it doesn't have a heater inside of it, and I was like, oh, because I was.
Yeah, but on the plus side, you did see.
Mm-hmm. There's all kinds of stuff moving around in the sky up here, all dots. I didn't see anything but dots, and I was watching it at 75%, so whatever it was far out because it was zipping around. Right. Yeah, I'm getting tired too, Keith. It was on the playback of the video, it was moving like about like how I move my hand around here, how we would see it. So it had to be way out there, right? Because I was at 75% speed. A few of them moved in straight lines. I was like, satellite, airplane, bug.
Yeah.
What the hell is that? You know, it was moving around in some seeming random pattern, but it was just a dot, and it's not a very good camera.
Well, this is why they call them UFO.
Mm-hmm.
A UFO is an unidentified flying object. That does not mean a UFO is an alien craft. It simply means you don't know what it was.
Yes. Yes.
The individual who saw it doesn't know.
Right.
Yeah.
And once it's quantified in that way, though, usually if you've got a picture or something, you can say, "Oh yeah, that was an airplane," or "Oh yeah, that was a helicopter." You know, if you can't get a picture of it, it's got a fairly decent chance of being a UFO.
Yeah.
I like the one that I saw when I first saw the Mobian ship. I was sitting on the deck on a patio, and a realtor come up, and I says, "Can I borrow your eyes for a moment?" He looks at me, and I tilted my glass. I said, "Well, clearly mine don't work well." He says, "Okay, what do you need?" So I pointed at the sky and I said, "What's that?" And he goes, "Well, I see it." I said, "That's a good start in my eyes." He goes, it's not an airplane, it's not an ultralight, it's not a helicopter, it's not a hang glider, it's not a glider, it's not a parachute," and he lists off a few other things. I said, "Great, what is it?" He said, "I don't know."
Yeah.
There you go.
You know what? My sideways question is, how did he not see it without you pointing it out to him?
Well, because he was looking at the building, and it was way up in the air.
Right. He was ignoring something that was there because he was focused on whatever he was doing.
Yeah, it's
Well,
sort
let's
of
face
like
it, he was trying to assess the value of the building.
yeah,
Looking at
it's
the
his
sky
focus
wouldn't
one
help.
there.
Yes. And that's kind of my point. He was so focused on what he was doing that he was ignoring the things around him. I've seen people do this so many times. I was watching a
It's like
haunted
this.
Yeah, I was watching a haunted video. These guys were ghost hunting in England, right? And they're driving in their car and they're saying they're on their way to a thing, right? They're just talking on their way to a thing. And all of a sudden, a giant triangle shows up. And they tune it out. They're like, "Oh, well, okay, back to driving." What? 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 Oh my God! What? You know,
Got it on
filter-
film. What?
yeah, they got a giant triangle right over them. It looked like a miniature Phoenix Lights, still giant. Phoenix Lights was miles and miles, right?
Yeah.
It was over the entire city. This was over the entire neighborhood, and they were like, "Oh well, it's not a ghost, so let's go on." What the hell was that?
Not our focus. Not our
Well, it
problem.
wasn't a ghost.
It wasn't
Right,
a
it wasn't a
ghost.
ghost. They were so dead set on their thing. They were like, literally, it was like, okay, well, you gotta see, okay, well, we're going, and oh wow, that looks like one of those triangles. Well, we're not there yet, so we're gonna keep driving. What the hell? I would have been like, stop the car. I would have been, stop the bloody car. We're gonna look at this thing. I'm gonna look at this thing. I don't know what's
Gee,
wrong with y'all.
You come from a much stabler background than I did, because I'd gotten out of the car on the go. That was just plain normal for us to come and go from the car as it was driving.
Okay, well,
Yeah,
We
really.
were delivering bulk papers.
I definitely would not have ignored it. It says, oh well, this is not what we're doing today. What are they? What are they doing? Arts and crafts? No, they're investigating the paranormal. The paranormal literally come up in their face, and they were like, "This is not what we're looking for."
Just not our cup of tea, Ducky.
Yeah. Like, what? What? Okay, y'all.
Craziness.
That's humans for you. We have reached the end of the panel, 2 hours. I was gonna do hour and hour, but nobody showed up, so that's okay. I sent links. They didn't
I
show.
showed up. He showed up. We showed up.
Y'all showed up. I had other people coming in too, and I was like, "Oh well, this will be the good opportunity to do segments." But then they didn't show up. Okay. Well, damn. Okay. Going on, moving right along.
Yeah.
They were not aliens, they were humans. The humans didn't show up. I'm sure the aliens are listening in. Like and subscribe. You're here. You're definitely quantum off-worlders. They're watching. I have faith in you guys. I know if you need a computer, I can hook you up with a good one. It'll get you by. You're gonna have to figure out the connections yourself, though. Okay. Yeah. But I was hoping to do segments tonight, but the other guests didn't ever contact me. So, oh well.
If you're here, you're quantum.
Yep.
And we appreciate our chat so much. Without you guys and our listeners, of course. And without you, we don't have anybody. We have no reason for a show.
The only people who would listen to me would be the FBI and the CIA, and they're not hitting like
me. And we don't want to talk to them anyway.
Yeah.
The CIA were a lot of fun.
Thanks, everybody. This has been the Quantum Panel. Lynn, Keith, thank you for coming on.
It's always a pleasure.
Thanks for having us.
So I didn't mean to wear anybody out, but I'm feeling pretty worn out. Coffee is not working.
I've been worn out for decades.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a little tired tonight.
All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. Thanks, everybody. Have a nice weekend. Keep it quantum. And we have gone, let me go real quick. We've covered a lot today. Elizondo, DeLong, Matthew Pines, CE5. We touched on that a little bit. Stephen Greer, Giant Rock, California. I did that first hour.
Ayers Rock.
Ayers Rock in Australia. We touched on the Galactic Federation, how the legal systems do not work together.
What kind of chaos we'd have if we did have full disclosure.
Right. And we're not ready as a society. And they're still not demons. I checked. So thanks, everybody.
We've got other things to do besides that.
Right. I've never seen a haunted house with a spaceship. I just never have. So thanks, everybody. Remember, if you're here, you're quantum. Like and subscribe. Thanks. Pushing buttons.
Much love to all.
Have a good one, guys.
Y'all have a good one.
Good night. See you next week.